Welcome everyone to the Solar Pedal Collective. If you are new, then congratulations, you found it. If you are returning, welcome back. If anything that I say during this message or any other messages, videos that I have posted and it resonates with you and you want to keep on returning, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And thank you. So this morning, kind of got to work and everything, and it's just, I already started to feel the sensation around the crown of my head, around my third eye, and like I haven't even looked at tarot or anything this morning, so it's been interesting. It's starting to feel like I feel the sensation all the time. It doesn't matter if I'm meditating or not. It's like my body is upgrading and doing that. So, but I have definitely been receiving some information. I don't know if it's a message, so to speak, but it is information that it feels like I need to express. So yeah, it's just hearing a lot of people might be confused. Like there might be an energy of like confusion going on, and I hear that people are asking questions as to like what's going on, and that could also be just because of the day and age where there's a lot of misinformation. So just having that constant question of what's happening, why is this happening? But what I'm hearing is don't stop questioning. And I know that sounds kind of weird because a lot of times you'll hear trust in the process, trust that the universe is there to guide you, trust that source is there to guide you. And as true as that is, whatever is telling me is also telling me it's okay to question. It's okay to be curious. Because curiosity is exploration. Curiosity is wanting to know the unknown. Like me starting my spiritual journey, there's so much information, there's so much out there that I don't know. And I'm questioning everything that I'm doing, not because like I'm uncertain, but because there's so much I don't know. And it's the curiosity question. I'm not trying to solve a problem. I'm not trying to understand the universe. I'm not trying to understand where this information is coming from. I'm not trying to understand that. I understand that information is coming. But it is not, like I'm being told, it is not my place to understand that. Because it'll come. That knowledge will come in time. And so when I hear that, then I can have more peace of mind and be curious about other things than trying to constantly understand where this information is coming from, what is speaking to me, why is it speaking to me, all that stuff. So it is okay to question. It is okay to be curious. But if in your curiosity, like you hear or you feel the sensation, or like you feel something where it's like you don't need to pursue that. You don't need to keep digging because it'll come. And that's kind of the information I'm getting there. And that's, yeah. So whoever that's for, like, it's okay to be curious. It is okay. It is okay to question. It's okay to question abundance. It's okay to question when you start receiving things that you've started to ask for when you've started to line and raise your vibration. It's okay to question that. And the reason why I say it's okay to question that is because it also starts the process in your mind of acceptance. You start accepting because you question something, like meditating for abundance, and then you get a windfall of financial gain. It's okay to question that. It's okay to question the windfall of financial gain, because you start seeing the intricacies, you start seeing the connections, you start seeing the synchronicities, and you start reprogramming your brain to see those synchronicities, because you're starting to actively become present by questioning, by being curious. Like, oh, I just got a windfall of money. Why did I get a windfall of money? Well, I've been affirming that I vibrate with abundance. And like I've said, and like many have said, abundance can mean a lot of things. Abundance in wealth, abundance in joy, love, peace, happiness. Abundance is a broad category. So you think that, and then like, oh, well, maybe that came from that. Maybe that came from constantly affirming. But what if there was something else? Like, what if there was something else that you asked for, and or not asked for, or like you, through your affirmations, trying to manifest, and that doesn't happen? That can be frustrating, but it's still good to question, because then you can question, well, why didn't that happen? What was my state of mind when I was meditating and affirming that? What was it? Something that I was trying to manifest that was completely not within my reality at the time. And I say my reality because your reality is what you perceive, right? Because you're receiving all this information through filters, through your own body filters. Like every sensation, every sense is through a filter. And so my reality is what I see through my filters. Your reality is what you see through your filters. If your reality and my reality have moderately same filters, things will look and sound the same. If through my filters and everything, I figured out a rock is a rock. If your filters were different and you look at what I perceive as a rock and you think it's, I don't know, a bullet. Like you never referred to it as a rock. You referred to it as ammunition. Because you grew up not knowing that it was a rock. But you used like a slingshot and you used rocks as ammunition, so you just referred to it as ammunition. That's nurture. And then for whatever reason, something's bringing up, like, and then you have to question everything. You have to, like, if you start down that, you have to question, you have to start broadening and opening your mind and thinking, okay, well, if I thought that was a rock and somebody else thought that was just ammunition, is it a rock? What is a rock? Who named a rock a rock? Who named a tree a tree? Why is a tree called a tree? Why is everything labeled the way it's labeled? Were we told way back when what they were? Or did we just come up with a word? you know? It's it's getting down that rabbit hole, and it takes you when you start questioning with curiosity instead of just trying to understand, trying to solve, trying to put into a category and store. When you just start trying to be curious and you follow the string down the rabbit hole, as long as you're safe, like, understand going down a rabbit hole can be dangerous. It can be addictive. It can be what's the word I'm looking for? It can be altering. Because when you go down a rabbit hole and you start being curious and you start questioning, sometimes your brain can get in a loop and start, okay, well, why's that? 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 And then you started down one rabbit hole, and then you just go and you just go off, and you start digging your own, like, you start digging straight across, and so you're going through different rabbit holes, and you're getting a bunch of pieces of information, but you're no longer anchored above the rabbit hole that you went down, right? So then trying to bring yourself back every time you reach a rabbit hole that you dug a hole across, you run the risk of falling back in it. You run the risk of falling into that rabbit hole because and then you have to pull yourself out and you have to keep going. And it's like you have a string or a tether attached to you to where your anchor is. And so every time you fall down a rabbit hole, you have to pull yourself back up. So it's one of those things. Sorry about that cut. I had to answer something real quick. But yeah, so when you fall down the rabbit hole and you're having to pull yourself up, and then you keep going, and then you fall down another rabbit hole. So you have to be cautious. You have to be aware of your curiosity and everything, and don't let it distract you and redirect you to cutting through rabbit holes. Continue down the rabbit hole you wanted to go down, so you're only coming back up one rabbit hole. So you also, as well as questioning everything, you also need to, you also need to learn to accept. So I know it's, again, a contradiction. Like, why are you going to question and accept? But it's just you can question to a point. Or if you keep questioning to curiosity, there we go. If you keep questioning curiosity, then at one point you will get an answer. And when you get that answer, if it's like, be patient, or you don't need to know that yet, or you don't need to know that, that's really something telling you, like, I understand that you're curious, but you need to let the process happen, because it could affect the outcome if you know too early, or you could not be prepared if you find out too early. So while having that curiosity and everything and being curious, you also need to get yourself into a mindset of accepting that things are going to happen that are out of your control, that you don't know, that you don't understand, but it's happening for a reason. It's always happening for a reason. And sometimes it makes you incredibly uncomfortable. sometimes it can happen incredibly easy. But if it's uncomfortable, it could just be clearing room for things that won't be, like abundance, like joy, like peace, like love. Because as much as we are beings of light or star seeds or things of that nature, our energy, as massive as it is, it doesn't necessarily have a limit, but it has this is going to sound weird to some, maybe, but it has RAM. It has random access memory. It has essentially a buffer where it holds energy. And you have massive energy. You have massive amounts of energy, but you have a small collection of energy, which is your cache or your buffer or things like that, where it's holding some energy, and then you can either feed your energy into it or outside sources feed energy into it, and then that's one of the ways that you interact with the energy from the environment, is you have that buffer, and it's kind of acting between you and the environment. And sometimes that buffer holds on to the negative stuff. Sometimes that buffer is just sitting there with negative energy, and you don't clear it. Like, you don't clear your cache. You don't delete your cookies. You don't clear the buffer. And what I mean by that, sorry, I should sorry. What I mean by that is, because to go through the energy that is in that buffer, you have to experience it. So, like, the positive stuff, like joy, the love, and everything, you're experiencing it in the buffer. So it's removing it from the buffer because it is going into you and you're experiencing it. But if there's negative things in your buffer and you choose not to process it, go through it, and experience it, to transmute it into light, or transmute it into positivity or good vibration or whatever, then it just sits in your buffer, and it just sits there. It never clears out. And so you have all this positive stuff on it that you're constantly clearing, but the negative stuff is staying, and it's slowly stacking up to where you only have a very sliver of energy room, like you very small sliver of room in your buffer for anything, for good, like for positive or negative. So that little buffer, that little sliver of space left, you get like good positive energy, and you use it immediately. And it was only a little amount, so it feels like, hey, a little bit of joy, but then there's still all that negative stuff, so it feels heavy, and you still have to process all that negative stuff. And so, like, that's what I'm being told, is you need to go through the negative to clear room so you can experience more positive. And it hurts. I know it hurts, because I've been going through my negative. Like, I've been clearing my buffer, and it sucks. It's intense. It can be very intense. But you have to experience it, because that's why we're here. We're here to experience everything. Everything that our spirit couldn't experience where it was. We're here to experience that life, and that life has a lot of positive and negative. So going through the negative helps clear that out so you can experience more abundance of positive. But just because you clear out the negative once doesn't mean that it's not going to come back. Because just like the buffer, once you clear out the negative, you still have all that free space. And so that means there's more room for negative to come back in if you don't process and clear it. So through meditation, through energy work, through things like that, you can help maintain your buffer, and just going through it, clearing it out, so you have more room for abundance, more room for positive, and it will change your life. But yeah, that's kind of the message that I'm hearing today. So thank you so very much. Again, if you are still here, I appreciate you so very much. We're all in this together, and the only way we rise is together. So thank you so very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.